What's up, you guys? Sorry that we're a little bit late. We try to get it all together. Hey, Belize. Hey, Danny in the house. So, with everything going on, you guys, we know there are no sports on, but there's been a lot of movement going on in the NFL. So we figured we come on here and talk a little bit of football talk. So I'm gonna bring my panel on one at a time. So okay, he don't look like he ready. So we got my boy T Hill in the house. T Hill is my football guru. I go to him when it is time to do my fantasy. You guys may remember him from when we did our NFL playoff preview, and I believe he was 100% in his predictions. I think his predictions were pretty damn good.
I wasn't 100%. I wasn't 100%.
You weren't, but you were pretty damn good. You and Face, actually. Remember, we laughed at Face about a couple of his predictions. They came out pretty good. Yeah. All right. We got the L of the Teddy in the house. Y'all know who he is. Y'all seen him. Ain't no need me going through no long.
But people don't think that I know anything about sports, and I'm very.
I don't know why people think that when you do your damn football every Sunday morning, your picks. And I've actually won money between the two of y'all. I've actually won money going with the stuff that y'all tell me to do. So I don't know why people don't know. We got Ebbs in the house, we got Ebbs. I'm not gonna tell y'all why Ebby here, but she here.
I'm the resident cheerleader.
She's the cheerleader.
Go team! Yay!
Go team! We do have someone else that's backstage, but I'm not sure if they're ready yet. Hold on, you guys. I can see. Hold on. Yes. I can see you. He's not on screen yet, but I can see that he's backstage. So we'll bring him on. So we got a couple of topics that I wanted us to discuss. The first thing, let's talk about this new CBA agreement. So the NFL has proposed, well, they didn't propose it, it's been approved at this point. But the new CBA, they have loosened the restrictions of the drug testing a little bit. They raised the price of the minimum wage for the players that don't, the non-superstar players. For the retirees, they get a little bit more money, a little bit more benefits. But the biggest change that I think most of us are going to notice is that they've added 2 roster spots and 2 games. So you like it, you love it, you hate it. What's up?
Well, I'll start off.
Okay.
You just threw it out there. No, but you know what? It's like one of those things where you have to. I gotta see it first before I know if I love it or hate it. I think the biggest change to me is that there are 2 extra playoff teams, which gives teams like the Redskins a better chance of getting it. No, I'm playing, but
you didn't have to do that.
Although
that's fired already.
The coach changes. They might be better this year.
Oh, they probably will be. They will be for sure. But yeah, I think the biggest thing is the 2 playoff games. Like you said, the rank and file players get more money. And I think overall it's going to be a good thing, but when you have been used to something a certain way all this time, it's going to take a little bit of getting used to, especially that 17th game. So we'll see what happens.
What about you, El Teddy? How you feeling?
I think one of the biggest things, because the NFL is always forward thinking. They added that they could give 2 craps about how the players felt. They were going to add that extra game. If they did nothing, that they wanted 2, and I think that was a consolation prize for them just to add 1, because they know what that means for situations outside of just the players, between all the advertisements, the gambling, the fantasy. They weren't going to give up that money. If they had to, and see what they're trying to do is, I feel like they're trying to mitigate the fact that the players are going to get a larger percentage of monies that come in. And so what the owners said, well, we ain't taking no pay cut. So I feel like adding that extra game, which means extra revenue, is going to help keep them close to where they were with regard to the money that they were taking in. Because rich white men are not going to take any nickel, dime, or quarter less than what they were taking before. So I think that's one of the biggest things. I think they eventually had to come up off the marijuana thing.
But they even did for yeah, it was marijuana, and it was something else that they kind of took a lot of the penalty from. But you feel like they were going to have to come off the marijuana thing?
I mean, as more and more states are just,
That's true.
not making it legal, it was going to become a situation where they were going to end up finding more players that were ineligible, which would have hurt the product on the field.
Yeah.
My question is, with an uneven number of games, like it's usually 8 home and 8 away, right?
Mm-hmm.
So who gets the extra home game, right?
Yeah,
I think that's something they're iron out. And something that L. Teddy said, they're going to cut down one preseason game. So I think the revenues are going to be about the same. Not as many people go to preseason games, but they're going to get a little more money. But instead of there being 4 preseason games, it'll be 3 and 17 real games.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be honest with you, that's my thing. My thing is they could get rid of the preseason. I mean, it was just too many. In my opinion, it's too many preseason games anyway. But Ghost, can you hear us? Are you there? Is your internet? He looked like he done froze up again. You there? Can you hear us?
He there.
I hear you.
Okay. So we're still on the first topic. We're talking about the new CBA. How do you feel about it? Good, bad, ugly? What you think about the CBA? Okay.
I listened to. I came in on L. Teddy's comments and agree with a lot of them. Sure, I personally think a lot of the players were voting with their wallets. That's all they were looking at was money. As you go into 17 games, there's more chances for head injuries, and already you're starting to see a lot to bail out of the league at their prime, at their prime. Just I'm not gonna reason. So it'll be how this affects other things. I don't know if they guys how they're gonna change the injured reserve rules. I think all that needs to be taken into account. I guess they smarter than me saw that to do that. I think to address, I think Hill was asking about the home games. I saw somewhere where if you have 9 home games one year, the next year
they'll offset. Yeah.
I think it's all the money thing. I think a lot of players just looking at, I'm gonna get so it'll be interesting to see. I don't care about the preseason games anyway. The playoff is all about money. You can get more teams in the playoffs, and I mean another playoff game. That's all.
And it's definitely more money involved.
That's all they think about is money.
And I'm gonna say this too, as someone who's dealt with labor negotiation. I mean, definitely not on the level of the NFL, but working for a teachers union, dealing with labor negotiations, going through building a contract, writing a contract, and all of that. At the end of the day, I'm gonna be honest with you, that's what people vote on anyway. Most of the time it comes down to how much more money am I going to be making, and then on the back end, then they'll complain about, oh well, we used to be able to do this, but we can't do that anymore. Oh well, why didn't the union tell us And I'm like, we told you all of the negatives. Y'all still chose to vote the way you voted because you were making more money, and all money ain't good money. And so the NFL did the same thing. Like whether you're making millions or thousands, it a lot of times the bottom line is how much more money. And again, it was more of the rank and file, not so much the superstars. It was more, and so it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. So let me ask you guys this: were you guys surprised to see how many names have been moving around these last couple of weeks? Like got to Todd Gurley, we got the I mean we can get to Tom Brady in a second, but I know Gurley, it was somebody else that big name that moved around. We have a lot. It's a lot. I feel like a lot of chess being played. You guys surprised to see all of that? Terry?
Yeah, well, you knew about the Rivers, the Bradys, and all of those guys were free agents. Todd Gurley came as a bit of a shock, but I think he'd worn his welcome out and with the Rams.
Yeah.
So he landed. They have to pay him $6.5 million or $5.5 million, and he signed for $6 million with Atlanta. So he's going to make 11.5 million this year anyway. So he's fine. Yeah, but no, it's a little more topsy-turvy than usual probably, but it just speaks to the amount of free agents that there are for each team this year. It's just a byproduct of how many people it is, and people looking for better situations. Some people staying. It's that time of year where it's topsy-turvy, man.
Yep. Abby, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to ignore you, boo. Did you have something you wanted to add? No, you just here so you won't get fined. Okay, all right. Let's just go on and dig into. Let's just go on and hit the nail on the head. Tom Brady. We've heard the rumblings, we heard the rumors, but it is now a done deal. How you feel? I'll start with Ghost on this one. How you feel about the whole Tom Brady situation? And he's frozen. El Teddy, how you feel about the situation? I don't know what.
Listen, Algorithm internet will not let us be great today. But anyway, I think that it's going to be like when Joe left my beloved 49ers. He might have a good season, but it's the beginning of the end. Well, the beginning of the end was like 2 seasons ago.
Yeah, he's definitely not. Yeah.
I don't really see him winning another ring. Will he go back? Perhaps. But I think that what's going to get lost in translation is people always talk about how great of a player Tom Brady was, but Tom Brady was the recipient of a lot of great defenses. And what Bill Belichick and they've been able to do in New England on the defensive side is going to really impact what Tom Brady is able to do. Not saying that he won't be able to make it into the playoffs or make it far, even make it back to the bowl, but I don't see him winning another ring, not with Tampa Bay and that defense. Now, I think that he will get some players that normally would be like, I ain't going to Tampa Bay by no stretch of the imagination to want to go there now. I do think that's happening.
Well, the rumor is Antonio Brown is getting ready to sign with them.
No, they said he's not coming.
Oh, he's not coming. Okay.
Yeah, they said they have no interest in him.
Got you. Well, you know, Terry, mutual friend of ours, you know, I already got the phone call. You know, I
told him. I broke the news to him.
A diehard Tampa Bay fan. And so, you know, but my biggest thing is, and I'm not a Tom Brady fan by any stretch of the imagination, but for me, one of the saddest things for me to see in any arena is someone who stays at the party too long. I'm just not sure what this move is about. I'm not sure why he's making it. He said he wants to be closer to his daughter, and I'm thinking, dude, you can afford to buy 5 houses closer to your daughter. Like, I'm just not sure what this move is about for him, what he feels like he has to prove, why. I just don't get it. I don't get it.
I think here's the thing. This is what I've always thought, right? He's done so much with Belichick, that Belichick name attached to his. He wants to challenge himself and go to another team and see if he can lift them up to a championship, and that would like cement his legacy as the greatest player of all time. I think he wants the challenge, to be perfectly honest. I think that's how I look at it.
It might have been like a 5-year ago thing. You know what I mean? Like now, 42?
Sure.
And I think I think you're right with that, because even with the great Joe Montana, you don't have to
every 49 player.
Hello. Point.
You don't have to do that.
Point here. I mean, Joe Montana is arguably the greatest quarterback of all time. So me saying the great,
but you don't have to keep saying it. You've said it twice already. You don't have to keep saying it.
The great.
We know you're a 49ers fan.
My point being, he had Bill Walsh, he had George Seifert, so he was able to say it wasn't just one thing or one coach or one anything. He even went over to the Kansas City, and if they had not cheated them out of that playoff game, probably would have made it to the Super Bowl. So I think that's something like, I agree with you.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he wants a challenge, and we'll see what happens. He wants to see if it's him or Belichick. So if he can pull the Tampa Bay Buccaneers up to relevancy and be a perennial playoff team, or even the 2 years he's there at least, and be in the conversation for playoffs and Super Bowl, he's done his job. So I think it's just about a challenge to him for right now.
Yeah, and I get it. And again, I'm no Tom Brady fan, but I would never, ever, ever take away the talent and what he's done. Like, I can't take nothing away from that. I'm just not a fan, not a Patriots fan, not a Tom Brady fan. So, all right, well, let's talk about a couple of these other quarterbacks. Jameis Winston, what you feel? How you feel? I'll go ahead and start with you.
My fellow alumnus, Jameis Winston. My fellow alumnus of the Florida.
This dude got a tie to everybody, don't he?
Okay.
I mean, we both went to Florida State, where excellence is always the word of the day.
Teddy, Terry, just.
I just feel like Jameis Winston has never lived up to his capability, and I think one of his issues is he's not had a coaching staff that has made and required him to do what it. We know he has the football acumen. We know he has the arm. We know he knows how to read defenses. He knows all of that, but he's been allowed, and that's why I think staying in Florida ended up being the worst possible place for him to stay. I do feel that he needs to go somewhere where they're going to hold his feet to the fire. I do think wherever he does land, I wouldn't be surprised if he came into a situation where he was a backup. I would not be surprised if he was a backup. That person gets hurt.
That's in his.
You
know what I'm saying, or maybe a Saints or something like that. Make them sit behind Drew Brees, because Drew Brees only got about another year or so in him left.
Right now, Drew Brees. Yeah. No, not Drew Brees. Yeah, not Drew Brees, but the coach, he tested positive for the corona.
Yeah, Sean Payton.
Yeah. So that's just a sidebar.
Yeah. So with Jameis, I like L. Teddy was saying, I it's just unfortunate for him. He's had a bunch of bad luck. He is turnover prone, but you see the talent. You really do. He needs someone who can harness him. At this point, there aren't a lot of, if any, starting jobs left. I mean, obviously, New England has a starting job, right? No one knows what they're going to do. Maybe Cam Newton, maybe Jameis. Yeah, who knows? I think at this point, San Diego is going to draft a quarterback, just like Cincinnati is. So there are not a lot of starting positions. I think a good place for him to land, which I've heard, is somewhere like a Pittsburgh Steelers, where
Ben is on the way
Roethlisberger is on his last year or two, maybe last year. And I think it would be excellent for him to get with Tomlin, get in that system, and then have a chance to flourish.
I wouldn't mind.
You got Cincinnati up there.
I'm rooting for him. Huh?
You got Cincinnati up there.
But Cincinnati, they're getting Burrow, though. They're going to draft Burrow 1 overall and give him the keys to the castle. There's no question about that.
Yeah. So what about since we brought up Cam, what about Cam? What are you guys thinking about Cam Newton? Rumors were New England. I've heard the Redskins. What you guys thinking?
I would love to see Cam Newton out there in San Diego.
That would be great.
I think Cam Newton needs the lights. He needs the bright lights, the publicity. I mean, it's not LA proper because they're playing over there in a soccer field. But they are going to
the new stadium will be. But no, the new stadium is coming. It's in Carson. Yeah, it'll be there this year. It'll be ready.
They finished already with the new stadium.
Yeah, it'll be ready for the start.
And so was Vegas, right? Mm-hmm. So the Oakland in this stadium ready.
I thought the stadium in Inglewood was going to be ready for the 2021 season, but it's ready for 2020.
I think it's ready for 2020. I think they are. Yeah.
But I mean, it's still. I mean, even though they're going to be the Clippers to the Lakers, like it being that's the Rams stadium and they're going to be just housed there, but I still think him being in LA, bright lights, if he can make them relevant that will go. I mean, he has all the intangibles. He has the pretty teeth. He has the muscle, the look. He gives the people.
But I'm gonna need him to stop wearing them suits. Can we do that?
Even with those suits and those scarves and them hats. Now he need to cut them ugly dreads off for damn sure. But I think that if he can get back to where he was, I'm not saying he's gonna get back to the 15-1 season, but if he can get back to getting a good 11-5, 12-4 season with the Chargers, get them into the playoffs. I mean, I out in LA, because I don't see the Rams doing too much. They falling apart.
Yeah. What you mean the Chargers? Yeah. So I think the Chargers. The Rams are falling apart. They could. Right. I got you. They could compete with them. I just think that. I think the Chargers are going to draft a quarterback. I think they're set on drafting a quarterback. I agree with you. It would be a perfect place for him to go. I say Cam goes to New England, get under Bill Belichick. And see what happens. That's what I would like to see happen for Cam. I think Cam
getting their opportunity. I think what the real perfect fit was Chicago. Chicago is not looking for a pocket passer. I'm gonna throw it 80 yards every down. They're looking for somebody who can, get some yards on their feet, throw the ball when they have to. A Cam Newton type quarterback going up there to Chicago where you don't have to be 95% in the pocket, they can accept you not being the perfect quintessential quarterback. I think that because picking up Nick Foles, I mean, really, that's what we're doing.
But then Nick Foles didn't they waive Nick Foles earlier this week or something like that?
No, Nick Foles got traded from Jacksonville to Chicago.
From Jacksonville, okay. I knew something happened with Nick Foles. I'm sorry. All right, Ghost is back. It looked like you got your internet situation taken care of. So let's go ahead and get you caught up. We talked about Jameis. We talked about Cam Newton. What do you think about these two guys? Where should they end up? Where do you think they'll end up? Why? Like anything you want to add to that part of the conversation?
Because Ron Rivera is making the Carolina Panthers North, I can actually see Cam coming to DC. As far as Jameis, I don't know where he's going to go. I think he's going to end up being a backup for a couple more years. He didn't show me anything in Tampa Bay that indicates he's ready to be I'm not even going to say an elite quarterback, but a consistent good quarterback. So it's going to be interesting to see where he goes. But I really could see Cam going to either Washington, just because Rivera's pretty much bringing everybody that was in Carolina with him back. He could go to, who else needs a quarterback? I think did somebody say San Diego? He might end up in San Diego. I don't know. LA.
Yeah, it's no San Diego anymore.
Yeah, you're right. My bad.
Even though they'll always be San Diego Chargers.
But who else? I don't know who else needs a quarterback. Is that it?
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, I think that's it. It's not a lot, like Terry said. It's just not a lot. It's not a lot of.
Miami needs a quarterback, but they're going to draft a quarterback.
They're going to draft one.
They're going to draft Tua like a bunch of idiots, and Tua is made out of toilet paper. That young man going to get hit one good time, and that's going to be his career. He couldn't even make it through college players.
He was always hurt at Alabama. Every time you saw him, he was limping, had a bandage or something.
Listen, he couldn't stand up to college defensive players. What he gonna do when those grown-ass men in the NFL are coming for him? Listen, that's like me going out there. Little bodies don't like when big bodies hit them. Okay? I'm just telling you. Little bodies.
This dude, man.
Like when big bodies hit them.
Look, if Kyler Murray can thrive in the NFL, Tua Tagovailoa can. That's all I got.
Well, Kyler Murray got a better offensive line than what Tua gonna have down there in Miami.
Well, and they're gonna give Tua a red shirt year to get his hip right too. You have to realize that. So
yeah.
Whoever, they're going to draft him. They're going to just chill for a year. They're going to let him get right, and then they're going to bring him. So,
the chat, as always, is cutting up. Welcome, everyone in the chat. Y'all are cutting up over there. Jonathan, but what you're not going to do is do that to my Redskins. You're not going to do it. You're not going to
do it, Jonathan. I like it.
Whatever. Speaking of which, what are your feelings about the franchise tag being put on Dak? How you feel about it? Implications?
I mean, they had to do it. They had to put the franchise tag on Dak just so they could keep negotiating with him. They weren't going to let him walk out the door.
Right.
Let's be honest.
I don't know what you did to your camera, but it's real blurry up there. I don't know.
I don't know either. I don't know. Who knows?
That's better. That's better.
Whatever.
Right,
but I think that. I guess it's the climate of the NFL right now where quarterbacks see themselves as more highly than they should. Because let's be clear, Dak Prescott is a marginal quarterback. He's a middle of the road quarterback, and because he's in Dallas, Dallas suffers from delusion of grandeur.
Haters.
He is not that great of a quarterback.
No. He's as good as Carson Wentz or Jared Goff. Can we say that? He's as good and done as much as either one of those quarterbacks.
And neither one
or if not more. And that's fine. But if not more, can we say that?
I'll give you that.
Okay. Now, both of them got $33 million last year, right? So now it's a year later. He should get more. He should get more than them just because it's a year later.
Got paid up there in Minnesota when he left Washington Redskins, and
Washington was dumb. That was a total. You had.
That's what we do. That's what we do.
My thing about it is this. That's why I said it's the climate of the NFL right now. I think he's going to get his money, but I don't feel bad if Jerry Jones gets his pocket picked by Dak Prescott, because racist ass Jerry Jones might need his pocket picked by a good black quarterback one of these good old days. So I don't feel
he already had it picked by a running back once, so just make it continue.
Look, the bottom line is Dak played the long game and he won. Let's be perfectly honest about that. He played the long game. He didn't sign the contract when he could have last year. He balled out last year, and now it's time to pay the man. And they'll get a deal done.
And I think what
$35 million range, and that'll be that.
I think what's helping him is Ezekiel Elliott and all of his scandals and everything that he had going on as well, because they definitely don't want Ezekiel Elliott to be the face of that franchise with how tainted he is right now.
Yeah,
that he has
they were never not going to retain Dak Prescott. Let's be
right. Absolutely.
Yeah, he will be the face of the franchise. There's no question about it.
And they will never win anything.
It's just a matter of, well, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see.
All right, well, let's get back. We touched a little bit on the Todd Gurley. Let's get back to that. You said that you felt like it was a little surprising that he had sort of overstayed his welcome. But, they were having issues last year with them not playing him and all kinds of stuff. So
it was weird.
You think he was injured, or you think there was some stuff?
It ain't been right ever since that playoff game, right before the Super Bowl. Ever since that playoff game, right before that Super Bowl, where you was wondering, it was the year before when they didn't make it, and you were wondering why they didn't play him more or something like that, and then they didn't play him.
I know you're talking about where they didn't put him in. Yeah,
and it just ain't been right since then.
But I think it started before that, though.
Because they was pretty much, he was the workhorse.
It started the year they went to the Super Bowl. That's when it started in the playoffs. Look, he has a degenerative knee. Okay, that's the bottom line. He has a knee that when it's healthy, is healthy, and sometimes he needs to take breaks. That's the bottom line with Todd Gurley. So they rolled Gurley as long as they could as a workhorse. It's not working out. They drafted a running back in the second round last year. The tea leaves were there for them making this move. So and they went ahead and done it.
Running back by committee.
Yeah.
But they have the tandem running backs. That's what he needs to be on. So that way he doesn't have to be, have to have
the man. Yeah, and you give it to him in the fourth quarter in crunch time, and you spell him. And I think that's what Atlanta's plan is going to be for him. So
because Atlanta got rid of my boy from my high school
from Florida State. Oh, it's your high school now.
He was my high school and my college.
Okay. All right.
So they got rid of him. So that he's going to be carrying doing the ball carries.
Yeah, and El Teddy comes from Florida. Florida and Texas is where they breed football players. So whatever.
My high school does have a lot of good running backs. We got Dalvin Cook. We got Devontae Freeman. Both went to Miami Central and Florida State. I mean, hello.
Whatever. Anyway, you were in the band room.
I sure was.
Anyway.
Problem.
Whatever. Anyway, Lang.
Yes.
We finally got your internet working. Thank you. Hallelujah. Okay. I don't know what was going on.
I had to switch devices.
Oh, you switched devices. Okay. All right. Cool. So, I mean, kind of, I guess, just sort of like we kind of went through those topics really quickly, but like anything that's shocking you guys over the last couple of weeks in reference to what we're seeing, any predictions on any other big moves that you guys might see coming up? As far as the this time of year with the free, the free seats, open seats, y'all know what I'm saying.
I mean, I think the most shocking thing is when the Texans inexplicably traded their best receiver.
DeAndre Hopkins. At least it wasn't the Redskins doing that.
Yeah, and what they did, and the crazy part, they let him go for a second round pick, a fourth round pick, and David Johnson, right? Like, and if you juxtapose what Minnesota got for Stephon Diggs, you're like, what is going on? It doesn't make sense.
The Bills are all in with Stephon Diggs. They are all in with Stephon Diggs, John Brown, and them up there. They're here for it. But I don't know what. See, it's Bill O'Brien. Bill O'Brien down there who thinks he's smarter than he really is. Going on the days where you can be coach and GM. I need you to focus on one job. And it has proven that what he's doing is not working. He's stealing money from that ownership. He is stealing money and he's costing them money. Like they could not, it's no way as an owner I would have signed off on that.
Yeah, really.
No way. You have not proved anything. You ain't won a playoff.
I know it was something else I wanted to put on the list because that one shocked me. I was like, what?
Yeah. And Crystal, we have another good friend who is a diehard Texans fan, as you well know.
Yeah.
And he has went on record, Crystal.
What did he
say?
And
said that he is done with the Texans after that trade.
Oh, yeah, whatever. Okay.
I'm letting you know.
Everybody says things like that because there are moments where I'm done with my 40 days.
I believe him, though. He never says I'm done unless he's done.
But you know what? He's been on the fence because he's
been teetering for a long time.
He's been teetering.
They gotta get rid of him. They need that now. That's who needs to leave. O'Brien needs to go.
Yeah, and
he has to go because they screwed around with the Jadeveon Clowney situation. They screwed that up. They come back and they screwed this situation up. That running back situation out there is a mess in the Texans. That whole stable of running back situation is a real mess. Now, who you got? Will Fuller? That's who you depended on?
Right.
Yeah, and he stays hurt. He stays hurt 10 out of 16 games a year. Yeah.
Okay.
He made out of paper. I mean, that's a mess out there.
I mean, the wide receiving crop in the draft is a very deep one. You can get a good quality receiver probably in the third round. So they got that going for them. But all you're trying to do is find another DeAndre Hopkins. Guess what? You had him.
Right. You had him. Like, what are you doing?
They just didn't want to pay him. But you'd rather pay David Johnson $10 million. I mean, it's ridiculous.
That's going to definitely.
And my thing about and what I've noticed is even with great receivers coming out of college, it takes a great receiver coming out of college. Like a running back is a plug.
A couple years.
But a good receiver needs a couple years. And it helps if you got a good veteran receiver out there to show you the rope, to show you, you run this route this way. This ain't college no more because you're going to get bust across the head doing it. So I feel like they don't have anybody out there in the Texas receiving core that's going to do that for them. It's a real – they got to get rid of that. The whole all sports down there is a mess.
And then they reacted
to the NBA, to the MLB. Just everything sports related in Houston right now is a damn mess.
And then they reacted by paying Randall Cobb $8.5 million a year to be their slot receiver. That was Dallas's third receiving option last year. They're paying that man almost $10 million
after he got kicked to the curb by the
to be
Packers.
there.
And that was after he got kicked to the curb.
That's after he got cut by the Packers 2 years ago. So
exactly.
that's where they're at in Houston right now. So
it's a mess.
Houston, we have a problem.
Yes, we do.
Been had a problem.
I know we kind of you coming in the middle of the conversation. Anything you want to throw in or add to in reference to anything you've seen that sort of kind of shocked you or threw you off that we haven't already sort of touched on?
Nah, I mean, I know I came in late and had some technical difficulties. The one I thought was interesting is it barely made noise here in Washington was that Mari Cooper just turned down the Redskins, $10 million more than what Dallas was offering. He just said, I don't want any part of that. And he'd rather stay in Dallas, which to me is like he sees the situation where he can win, whereas in Washington, you don't know what you're going to get, but that barely even registered here in Washington.
That is true.
Happened.
But I think part of it, but do you think part of that, all right. Do you think part of that is stemming from the whole situation last year with a boy who talked about how the Redskins mismanaged his injury and that
Trent Williams.
Yeah, Trent Williams. I couldn't get his name out. Like, do you think that some of that is coming from them just not so much they want to stay somewhere where they have a potential to win, but the fact that the Redskins' reputation is just so bad right now between the mismanagement of the front office, the overturning of the coaching staff, the fact that, because remember, once Trent Williams said it, remember other players jumped on it and said, yeah, they did me too. They did me wrong too. Do you think that that's part of it? Or you think that at the end of the day, players really don't give a damn about that kind of stuff? Like, what do y'all think?
I think they care and players talk, but you remember the Redskins have a history. Who were the two receivers they had? The two receivers they had from the Jets, and they basically just twitched them.
Lavernius Coles and somebody.
Yeah,
right.
I remember Lavernius.
You talking about
what did Dan try to tell the dude? I give you a flat screen, you can watch
Santana
Moss. So they basically swapped those two. So people talk. The Trent Williams thing didn't help, but on the flip side, there's two sides to every story. And Trent, Trent he doesn't exactly have the best reputation right now. You got caught smoking weed. You're always injured. So I don't think he's really in a position, but we haven't really heard the Redskins side of it. But, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. So they fired the whole training staff. They got a whole new training staff. You got a new GM or whatever Ron Rivera's doing. Back in the day, Dan Snyder would just throw money at a player and they'd come. I mean, what was the Fortune 500 Redskins in 2000?
Yeah.
Anybody Dan Snyder wanted, they got. I mean, the last one they did that look at the record. You got Deion Sanders, Haynesworth, your boy.
Yes.
Albert.
I thought the play was over.
Oh, yes.
And then
he backed the Brinks truck up to FedEx Stadium.
Right.
He backed it up, buddy.
Josh Norman, who, the first year, everybody was like, well, how come he's not covering like he used to in Carolina? Because he's garbage. That's why Carolina let him go. He's garbage.
Ron Rivera let him go, but Ron Rivera gonna find a way to get the best out of him while he's there.
Yeah.
So,
but I think
how you asking about that move? I'm asking as a fan. I'm asking you guys as fans. Langston, me and you already talked, but I'm asking you guys how you feel about the Ron Rivera pickup.
Oh,
if he's allowed to do what he can do, I think it'll be good because they need to shore up that defense definitely. Because that defense down there is garbage. It's trash.
They got players, so they need a scheme, and that's what he's coming there to do. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, I think
they let Rivera do what he can do.
Yeah,
and change the defensive schemes and stuff like that. Then I think that'll help win them at least 3 or 4 games right there.
They have optimism.
Alone.
Yeah, they have optimism in DC. I can give them that. But going back to the Amari Cooper thing, there are two points that I want to make. He always said that he was going to stay in Dallas. So if anything was semi-comparable, he was going to stay in Dallas, right?
Okay.
B, the one thing about playing in Texas is there's no state income tax. So even if someone offers you 8 or 9 million more, that's only really about 4 or 5 million more because of the state income tax. So he has to look at the total picture. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you look at the total picture, and it wasn't necessarily he's going to net $10 million more. He would probably netted about $5 million more. But it was $5 million on $100 million contract worth leaving a good situation to go to an unknown situation?
Right.
And I think that's
Right.
what happened with Amari Cooper.
Okay. All right.
I mean, to me, there's a lot of things that's been going on in this offseason. I mean, it's been moving you had Melvin Gordon who went out there to the Broncos, but that ain't gonna mean nothing because the Broncos are horrible.
That's another team that needs a quarterback.
They need a quarterback.
They seem set on this young boy that they got, Drew Lock, but that's another team that they
could not. Cam Newton could go there.
He would be great there, and that's what I've always said.
Melvin Gordon in the backfield, I would like that. I really would like that, but I don't see them. But I think teams that did the most for themselves, I think that's Stephon Diggs in Buffalo and Tom Brady leaving. It's pretty much cemented that the AFC East is going to Buffalo. I mean, Buffalo, quiet as it's kept, should have won the AFC East this year.
Yeah, they should have.
With Tom Brady there.
They were close.
They really should have.
They were my pick.
I mean, teams that I don't know what you think. I don't know what Minnesota is doing up there. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what the hell Detroit is doing up there. I have no idea.
I mean, it's Detroit.
I mean, the entire.
I don't know what the Redskins are doing.
Even Green Bay, the entirety of the NFC North. I don't know what is going on up there. I have no idea what's going on up there. NFC South, though, that's going to be a gauntlet right now. Navigating through trying to win the NFC South right now is going to be. That's the devil's land right there, the NFC South. That's the division that I want to see what happens next. That's what I'm looking forward to, that the NFC South.
You know, a team that quietly made 2 moves recently, I mean, since free agency started, that kind of went under the radar, and it's probably because they underperformed so vastly last year, is the Cleveland Browns. They got a really, really, really good tight end in Austin Hooper. And then they got one of the best right tackles in pro football, Spartan Dog, Jack Conklin. So they've really shored up 2 areas that they were lacking. And if you add Odell Beckham Jr. and
Odell Beckham can get his mind right. I don't think he's right in the head right now.
So I mean, if he gets right,
last year he cut that blonde out his head.
He played like trash last year. He played like trash.
It was Jarvis Landry.
Jarvis Landry balled out
last year.
Yeah, and they're best friends. So if they could get it together with that, and if Baker Mayfield becomes a average quarterback, and they have some really good defensive pieces too, I think they quietly could sneak up on some people next year with those 2 moves that they made.
Hooper was a great tight end. I gave you Hooper quite a few weeks last year on my for fantasy. Hooper did ball out last year. Now, I'm not gonna lie. He really balled out. It was him. It was a couple people. Him, Will Disley, Greg Kittles and stuff like that. And it was
George Kittle
balled out. George Kittles, but I said Greg Kittles. I know a Greg Kittle. Anyway, George Kittles. But I don't know, man. It's some teams, they know how to pull the trigger. What is New England going to do? I really want to see what Belichick is going to do. They have no offensive weapons at all. Nothing. They have nothing on offense.
I mean,
what do you go out there and start
on the offense? They're going to build on. Like, what do you think? What kind of moves do you think they're going to make?
They need everything.
I got you.
I mean, that was the problem last year. They didn't have anything. You hit Edelman, and that was it.
And Edelman is a skeleton of himself. I mean, because remember, he was hurt and all of that, and then he got suspended and all of that.
Well, they drafted a running back 2 years ago, the kid out of Georgia, and he's their running back, and maybe he wasn't as good as they thought he was going to be. And they also drafted a wide receiver last year at the end of the first round. Jury's still out on him, the guy from Arizona State. I forget his name right now. So maybe they have lost their mojo in drafting, and maybe that precipitated their downfall and was one of the reasons that Brady ultimately wound up leaving.
Well, T Hill, Amber, we already sort of covered this, but I'll let T Hill answer it again because he loves any opportunity to talk about them damn Cowboys. So the question is, why did they franchise tag Dak Prescott? I know you already spoke on it, but I think she might have just came into the chat. So if you would like to reiterate your answer, sir.
So they had to either franchise him or let him walk. They weren't going to let him walk out in the free agency to sign whatever deal he wanted to make. So they franchised him. They franchised him with the understanding, with the idea of signing him to a long-term contract in the next couple of months. So what franchising him did is give them room to negotiate. And if for some reason they don't agree, then he has to play next year for $33 whole million, which I'm not going to cry over anybody who gets $33 million guaranteed
Exactly.
1 year.
I mean, but I think also too, some of the just to add to that, did y'all see the stipulations in Brady's contract that he signed?
He can't get traded.
Say what you want. He did a lot for players coming behind him. You can't trade him.
And all 50 million, though. 50 million is guaranteed.
Brady, though. That's Brady. Everybody's not gonna get that.
Right.
2 years. I mean, he said you can't trade him. I don't think they can franchise him.
They can't.
I don't think they can't do anything. All they can do is
and they're fine with that.
Brady in Tampa Bay. What is Tampa Bay gonna say? No,
right. They're not going to say.
Right. They're in no position.
Anybody, every team that wanted Brady would have went with those stipulations.
What I'm saying
if Brady said, I want to call my own plays, they'd let him do that. He probably gonna do that anyway.
Right now, we're saying, because it's Tom Brady, but there's going to be another player, probably sooner than later, that's going to be like, nah, I need my agent to get me the same kind of deal. And it's going to be a quarterback, and some idiot team is going to give them that. Somebody's going to give them
the only quarterback with that cachet just won the Super Bowl in Kansas City. Period.
Watch this.
There's
Let's
a few that
say
can do it.
Aaron Rodgers says, I want the hell out of Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers will get the exact same treatment if he wanted out of Green Bay.
Deuces. He's getting old.
He is.
But he's won a Super Bowl.
But he would get the exact same treatment.
Well, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this. I think I'm gonna go 50-50 on this. I think you're correct in saying that Tom Brady has created a situation that has improved player conditions and bargaining chips moving forward. But I also think that some of that is because he is Tom Brady. But some
of that is because it's the Bucks.
But I'm saying, but also because he's Tom Brady. But one thing I'm gonna say is this, though. The thing is, this is a whole lot easier to add than to subtract. And now that the bar is here, that doesn't mean that everybody is going to get this, but certainly they're going to be. I mean, going back to what you said, T Hill, a few minutes ago about Dak Prescott and the quarterbacks from last year who got the $33 million, and you're like, well, he's done at least what they've done, so he should get at least. And I think it's that same mindset. We know that Tom Brady's going to always be here, but if the next almost good quarterback gets here, you know what I'm saying? The fact that you can even negotiate the no trade clause, don't franchise tag, guarantee, the fact that that's even something that can be negotiated now. The average person ain't gonna get what Tom Brady got, but if they only get to an 8 of what Tom Brady got,
I'm telling you, if I'm the Miami Dolphins or the Cincinnati Bengals, and Aaron Rodgers says, give me that contract and I'll come right now, they will give him that. So and so that's why I'm saying it's a combination of definitely Tom Brady being Tom Brady, but also Tampa Bay being damn it Tampa Bay. I mean, it is what it is.
Well, I won't touch the Tampa Bay being Tampa Bay. You're the only person here whose team saw a Super Bowl this offseason. They ain't win it, but they were there. So I'm gonna let that go. My team didn't even see the playoffs. Oh, wait a minute, Terry, you can get yours. Oh, okay.
It's all right. We didn't want to go anyway. We wanted to go this year.
Oh, Lord. Y'all ain't want to go for a while, apparently.
Might not be a season next year.
Yeah, I know. That Rona.
Listen.
That's okay.
What do y'all think about the NBA? Do y'all think they're coming back?
That brings me directly into my last question. I was like, we got 10 minutes left. I said we was going to do an hour. I wasn't going to hold y'all longer. But that brings me directly to my last question. what do you guys think the law? And we don't say the word because YouTube be tripping, so we call her Miss Rona over here. But what do you think the long-term implications are going to be of what it is that we're currently dealing with? Like right now, football is off season and it's not. I mean, it's not having a total impact. I mean, maybe OTAs or whatever. But what do you guys think the long-term impact is going to be on the season?
Well, on football, it's going to have a major impact on the draft.
Yeah.
Remember, they can't go see their doctors.
Right.
They can't go to workouts and all of that stuff. So they're just basically going off of the film. I mean, which really takes you back to old school scouting anyway. It's going to make these people earn their damn money, which they should have been for a long time. But that's not here or there. But I don't think because the new CBA really lessened what they could do in terms of, off-season training as well as the summer practices, the practices before the season started anyway. So I don't really see that big of an impact. I think the biggest impact is going to be on the draft, and there's going to be a lot of missed hits. And you're going to see some people drafted in some places in this draft and be like, what in the world was y'all thinking? Because they're going to end up, it's going to be a lot more busts in this draft. I could really see that.
Well, conversely, it could be a lot more steals too, because someone like, I don't know about his status, so I'm going to lay off on him. And he slips to the second round and becomes a beast. So I think it could work both ways.
Yeah, it could work out.
I think it's a wrap on the NBA, though. I think it's a wrap. I don't think they're going to play again. I think it's a wrap. When they canceled the NCAA tournament, which broke my heart, by the way, when they did that,
my Florida State Seminoles was going to be a number one seed.
Yeah, we're going to be a number one seed. That's right.
We were, and I was real upset about that.
So, I think it's a wrap. I think
when I got that alert on my phone that March Madness was like,
I cried.
I was just shocked. Like, I
cried. This is my favorite time of year.
I know it is.
At this point, I'm just going to go. At this point, I'm going to go and play an endless loop on YouTube of Luther Vandross singing One Shining Moment, just so I can feel good.
The ball is tipped.
Remember that year they had like Jennifer Hudson singing or something, and it wasn't the same.
No, you gotta get Lula.
What was that? I need Lufa, Fat Lufa.
Yeah, not little Luther, big Luther.
Big Luther
with the curl that just went.
Fat Lufa.
I need to see the montage of the players crying on the bench, because that's my favorite part. Seeing the players cry is the best part.
Even Selection Sunday,
it's huge. Yeah, it really. They didn't postpone it. They canceled it, and I was like, that's it for everything.
I needed to be mad because after that first Thursday and Friday, I had my whole bracket up.
Yeah, it's a wrap. So, what about the Olympics? You think the Olympics are still going to go on? What you think?
I don't know, because I saw something that said the U.S. swim team has already told the OIC, listen, y'all need to postpone this thing for a year, because there's no way you expect people to travel to Tokyo. What is it, in Tokyo this year?
Tokyo.
Yeah.
I'm not going nowhere near Southeast Asia, even though they have less cases of coronavirus over there in Tokyo than they have here.
Yeah.
But
just getting on the plane to go over there is going to be crazy.
Right. And even the trials, like this is the time of year when people are doing the Olympic trials. Like this is like, track and field, swimming, gymnastics. Like this is when the people, because then what you need to know you're going to be on the team, and then you start to do the Olympics. Like there's a whole thing there,
I mean, and if you are an athlete and you're being told stay away from the gym, don't go to your practice facilities because they're shut down and closed. What do you mean? I mean, come on now, something's got to give.
Right, you can't train.
As the Olympic, the OIC, to say, I'm going to, keep doing this. I mean, with who's going to be in the stands?
They do televised.
Yeah. They're trying to hold on to it for dear life, but I think ultimately it's going to get canceled.
I think everything spring and summer is going to be canceled, and then you're going to have a wait and see, and that's going to determine what's going to happen for the NFL. But I think the Olympics is done, NBA is done, baseball might do a shortened season depending on how the next month. They might just start the season late,
Yeah, like in June.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once again, I want to address a question in the chat. So I'm confused about how these NBA players are getting the Rona. Well, because the NBA player had it, didn't know they had it, and they played games, they traveled with the team, they sweat, they breathe.
Everybody got it.
Everybody. Not just the player. Because Kevin Durant wasn't traveling, he got it.
Yeah, they said 4 Lakers players are confirmed to have had it, and they haven't said which Lakers players those.
It was 2 Lakers. It was 2 Lakers.
Is it 2? Okay, my bad. Okay, I don't want to exaggerate. But yeah, so that is the problem with this whole Rona situation is that you don't know. It incubates for up to 14 days. So you're fine. You have no symptoms. You don't feel bad. You're out here living your everyday life. By the time you get symptoms, then you got to go back and think about every place you've been in the last however many 2 weeks.
Who you've affected. And that's why it's so dangerous.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yep. And that's why people, like we talked about this earlier, and I'm not trying to go left, but that's why, people down on the beach down in Florida, like ain't shit going on. Like, come on, stop it. So anyway, yeah, you guys, it's I'm glad, I just want to thank you guys for coming through. Abby, I'm sorry that, your life got interrupted with that situation over there. I'm sorry about that, but
what
Abby,
happened? Her chips didn't come.
No, remember when she got her delivery at the beginning of somebody half eaten.
Oh my God, I didn't see that.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, so that's why she sent
the delivery driver ate some of your food. What?
Oh, that's a mess.
That's not funny, but it's funny.
You gonna eat your cornbread?
They bringing you another sandwich?
I don't even want to say that.
I'd have to go. I don't know what I'd do with
that. I gotta go see somebody.
Listen, Uber Eats was giving me $100 credit. I will take a picture of it and send it to them.
No. I did. Mm-hmm. I did. And
they'll be giving me $100 credit.
Yeah, that's a whole lot right there. So before we get off, we got some good old fashioned trash talking. We got a good old Aggie in the house. We got a good old we got a Norfolk State Spartan in the house.
Behold the green and gold.
Okay, but somebody said something earlier.
The real Spartan. I don't know. That's a fake Spartan there. That's fake Spartan.
See, we talking a little trash. See, we have a Marching 100 representative FAMU down in the corner down there.
Down there
in the corner down there. Yeah. Of course, we've got a Bennett Bell. If I always got to choose, what side I'm with. My Aggies. My Aggies.
Come on.
I'm sad. My college didn't have sports. Oh Jesus!
Wow.
But you would have to go with Norfolk State. That's where you grew up. So we all have.
Don't tell nobody you had to go with Norfolk State. Don't tell nobody that.
Who was the last HBCU to win an NCAA tournament game? Thank you.
Who really cared?
It was Central. It was Central a couple of years ago.
No,
they won the play-in game.
Play-in don't count. Nobody count the play-in. Nobody count the play-in. And you were Aggie picking up for Central?
No, I'm just telling you. Listen, technically they won it. I hate Central. I could care less about Central. I'm just letting you know what happened.
Missouri, thank you. Missouri.
Green and gold and all of that stuff.
You mean when that white coach got lifted up in the air and he was flinging his legs? That was classic. You're right. Y'all did beat Missouri. That was classic.
Anyway,
MEAC represent, baby.
A little HBCU stank out there. It's always some good trash talking when you get a bunch of HBCU folk together in the room. Thank you guys for coming through on this Good Friday night. Y'all could have been anywhere, but you chose to be here with me. But really, you couldn't be anywhere.
No, we couldn't be nowhere. That's the point. So we here with you.
Social distancing.
But it felt good to say it. But definitely, you guys, thanks a lot for coming through. I appreciate y'all. It was a good conversation. I always learn something because, y'all are I love football, but I don't always have the technical eye that y'all have. So I always learn something when we had these conversations. And we'll just have to see how the rest of this offseason progresses, and we'll see if there's any preseason to even talk about. We'll see what we do when we get there, honey.
Yeah.
All
A
right, y'all. Thanks,
sportsless
guys.
society. It's very sad.
It is. All right, y'all. Thanks for coming through. God bless you. Good night.
Good night.
Hitting the button.
Hit the damn button.
You know what I do think though?